They said every man in Ashford had tried. Not once, not twice, every man. Ashford, Georgia sat just outside Atlanta, close enough to feel the city, far enough to hide its secrets. A place where church announcements traveled faster than sirens, and everybody knew who was courting who before the first date even happened. And in that town lived one woman who had become a problem. Her name was Naya Harper. By 31, Naya had turned down everyone. Church deacons with kind smiles, city workers with steady paychecks, business owners who promised comfort, even a council aide from Decatur who thought his title made him untouchable. She said no, every time. At first, people called her independent, strong, focused. But admiration never lasts long in a small town. Soon, the whispers changed tone. Something must be wrong with her. She thinks she's better than us. A woman does not say no that many times for no reason. Barber shops debated her character. Church ladies lowered their voices when she passed. Men took rejection personally, like an insult that needed explaining. What the town never asked was why Naya stayed calm while the noise grew louder. They did not see her walk home alone every night with her keys clenched between her fingers. They did not notice how she memorized faces or how her eyes lingered just a second longer on men who smiled too hard. They only saw the answer: no. What Ashford did not know was that Naya was not rejecting love. She was avoiding something far more dangerous. And the reason behind her silence was buried so deep in this town that once it surfaced, Ashford would never look at itself the same way again. This was the story nobody wanted told, but everyone would soon hear it.
Welcome to Tales by Daisy. I am happy to have you join this community. Before the drama unfolds, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and comment your location below. I'd love to know where you're watching from.
Naya Harper lived a life most people never noticed. Her brick duplex sat on Maplewood Drive, 2 blocks from Ashford Memorial Hospital. No decorations on the porch, no welcome mat, just a door that closed tight every night like it was trained to keep the world out. She worked the night shift as a medical records clerk. No patients, no small talk, just files, screens, and locked doors. People assumed she chose nights because she liked the quiet. The truth was simpler. At night, fewer eyes followed her. Her shift started at 9 p.m. and ended just before dawn. Same routine, same streets, same timing. Naya did not believe in surprises. Surprises were how people got hot. When she got home, she never went straight to bed. At exactly 1:03 a.m., she sat on the edge of her couch and opened her phone. Not messages, notes, names, dates, places, small details most people forgot. How long a man stood too close. How his tone changed after hearing no. How his smile faded when he realized she would not bend. Naya did not write feelings. She wrote facts. She learned early that memory could lie when fear was involved. This habit did not come from bitterness. It came from experience. Some men laughed off rejection. Others did not. Some acted kind in public, then angry in private. Naya learned to trust patterns more than promises. And here's the part nobody in Ashford understood. Naya was not afraid all the time. She was alert. If you've ever ignored your instincts just to keep peace, listen closely. If you've ever told yourself you were overreacting, stay with this story. Because what Naya knew could have saved more than one woman in this town. At night, after locking every window, she replayed conversations in her head, not because she wanted to, but because she needed to. Control was her comfort. People thought her no was cold. They were wrong. It was practiced, and practice usually comes from pain. By the time Ashford decided Naya was hiding something, she already knew the town was hiding much worse. What she did not know yet was that someone had started paying attention to her records, and once that happened, staying invisible would no longer be an option. The first time Naya noticed Darius Monroe, she didn't know his name. She noticed his stillness. It was a Tuesday night at Ashford Memorial. The halls were quiet, the kind of quiet that made every footstep sound louder than it should. Darius stood at the counter while Naya corrected a mistake in her aunt's admission file. He didn't rush her, didn't hover, didn't lean too close. Most people did. He thanked her once, clearly, then stepped back. The whole interaction lasted maybe 4 minutes, but when Naya looked up, she felt something tighten in her chest. Not fear, something else, like a memory brushing past her without stopping. A week later, the town was already talking. A new man had moved into the renovated house on Cedar Street. Black iron fence, motion lights, quiet confidence. People filled in the gaps on their own. Then one night, after her shift, Naya saw him waiting outside her duplex. Her first instinct was to turn around. "He won't take long," he said quickly, sensing her guard rise. "I just wanted to ask you something." He stood a full step away, hands visible, voice calm. "I want to take you to dinner. If you say no, I'll leave." Naya studied him the way she always did. His posture, his eyes, his breathing, waiting for the pressure to come. It didn't. She said no. Darius nodded, no questions, no jokes, no second attempt. He turned around and walked back to his car. That should have brought relief. Instead, it unsettled her. Because rejection usually came with a reaction, anger, ego, hot pride. This man gave her none of it. And if you're thinking, what's wrong with that? Pause here and like this video. Ask yourself how often someone respects a boundary the first time. If you've ever felt uneasy when something felt too calm, you're not alone. Stay with this story. Don't scroll past it. Because moments like this are how truth slips in quietly. That night, Naya opened her phone at 1:03 a.m. She added a new name. Not because Darius scared her, but because something told her he mattered. And whatever was coming next would not be simple. Not for either of them.
3 days passed without a sign of Darius. No drive-bys, no messages, no quiet waiting by her door. Nia told herself that was a good thing. On Friday morning, just after sunrise, she found the envelope. It was taped neatly to the center of her door. No name, no stamp, no return address. Just plain white paper against brown brick, like it had always belonged there. Her chest tightened before she even touched it. Inside was a single photocopied document, a police incident report, dated 12 years back. Her name was on it, so was her mother's. The charge read, "Failure to prosecute, case dismissed." Nia's hand started shaking halfway through the page. Her eyes moved faster than her breath. At the bottom, one line stopped her cold. Suspect, unnamed male. She sat down hard on the floor, the paper slipping from her fingers. That file was sealed, buried, locked behind roles and favors and quiet agreements. Only one person in Ashford had ever mentioned it out loud, and now it was taped to her door like a reminder. Nia stayed on that floor until the light shifted in the room. Memories she had trained herself not to touch pushed forward anyway. Her mother coming home late, the way she avoided mirrors, the way her voice dropped when certain names came up, the way the police stopped calling after a few weeks. People said it was handled. It wasn't. Nia stood up slowly and checked the windows, then the hallway, then the street. Nothing looked different. That scared her more than anything. Because someone had reached into the past without leaving fingerprints. Someone knew where she lived. Someone knew she remembered. She picked up her phone at 1:03 a.m. that night and opened her notes. She didn't add a name. She added a sentence. The past is no longer quiet. As she locked her door, one thought kept circling her mind. Darius Monroe had shown up. The file had followed. And in a town that thrived on silence, those two things happening together did not feel like coincidence. Nia had spent years staying alert, but now someone else was watching her. and whoever it was wanted her to remember everything she had tried to survive. The phone started ringing at 6:17 a.m. Nia stared at it from the kitchen table like it had insulted her. Unknown number. She let it ring out. 10 seconds later, it rang again. Same number. She flipped the phone face down and poured coffee she didn't want. Her hands were steady this time, which felt wrong. Fear usually announced itself. This one waited. The ringing stopped. A message came through instead. You found it. No name, no emoji, just 4 words that felt too sure of themselves. Nia's stomach turned. She typed back, then erased it, typed again, deleted that too. Some conversations don't give power back once they start. She didn't reply. At work, the day moved like it was pretending to be normal. Emails, meetings, small talk that floated past her ears without landing. Every time her phone buzzed, her shoulders tightened. By noon, there were 3 missed calls. By 2, a voicemail. She waited until she was alone in her car to listen. The voice was calm. Too calm. Hi Nia, I was hoping we could talk. There are things you deserve to understand. Ignoring this won't make it go away. Click. No threat, no raised voice, just confidence. On the drive home, Nia noticed a black sedan behind her. It stayed 2 car lengths back. Every turn it followed. When she slowed, it slowed. When she sped up, it stayed patient. Her heart thudded against her ribs. At the next light, she turned suddenly into a grocery store lot. Parked, waited. The sedan drove past. No pause, no window down, no signal. Just gone. That night, she locked every door twice. At 11:42 p.m., her phone buzzed again. A photo. Her building, taken from across the street. Her living room light on, curtains open. The message under it read, "We can do this the easy way." Nia sat on the edge of her bed, phone heavy in her hand. For the first time since the envelope, she felt something sharper than fear. Anger. Someone thought her past was a lever. Someone thought quiet meant weak. They were wrong. She opened her notes again and added another line. I will not be managed. Outside, a car engine idled, then faded into the night. And somewhere between the ringing phone and the closing door, Nia understood something clearly. This wasn't about what happened years ago. It was about who still controlled the story. And that fight had just begun. The knock came at 8:03 p.m. Not loud, not rushed. 3 slow taps. Nia froze on the couch, remote in her hand, TV playing something she hadn't followed for 10 minutes. Her phone lay beside her, silent for once. That silence felt staged. The knock came again. She checked the peephole. A man stood there, alone, mid-30s, clean jacket, hands visible, calm face like he belonged. She didn't open the door. Miss Carter, he said, voice steady. I know you are home. Her chest tightened. You left your curtains open yesterday. I figured you weren't hiding. That sentence did something to her. Not fear, but violation. Who are you? She asked through the door. Someone trying to save you a lot of trouble. She laughed once, sharp and humorless. Funny way to do that. My name is Malcolm Reed. I work with people who clean up complicated histories. That word again, history. Nia's hand hovered near the lock, not to open it, to feel grounded. You sent the photo, she said. Yes. And the calls? Yes. She leaned her forehead against the door. Then say what you want and leave. There was a pause, long enough to make her breath sound loud. A lot of men in your neighborhood you said no to for years, Malcolm said. You let them think you were cold, proud, broken. That was smart. Her chest dropped. But you weren't avoiding them, he continued. You are protecting someone. Silence swallowed the hallway. Protecting who? Nia asked. Your sister, Malcolm said. The word landed hard. You moved to Baltimore after what happened in Atlanta, he went on. New job, new number, same role, no attachments. Nia slid down until she was sitting on the floor. You should leave, she whispered. I can't, he said, because the people you are hiding from have decided it's time to collect. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. He's telling the truth. Nia closed her eyes. Why now? She asked. Because your sister broke silence, Malcolm said, and silence was the only thing keeping you safe. He stepped back from the door. I'll be across the street until midnight, he added. If you want answers, you open that door. If you don't, tomorrow gets much louder. Footsteps faded. Nia stayed on the floor long after they were gone. She thought about every man she turned away, every wall she built, every night she told herself it was worth it. If this story is pulling at you, don't pretend it isn't. Support by commenting your thoughts. What do you think Nia is hiding from? Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was her sister's name. And Nia knew whatever she chose next would change everything. Nia did not answer the phone right away. The name on the screen felt heavier than the device in her hand. Renee Harper, her younger sister, the reason she learned how to disappear without leaving town. The call rang out. Then came a text. Please, I didn't know who else to call. Nia stood up, legs stiff, and walked to the sink like she needed something solid to hold her up. Her reflection looked older than it had that morning, tired in a way sleep never fixed. She finally called back. Renee answered on the first ring. I didn't think you would. Her voice shook, thinner than Nia remembered. Nia closed her eyes. Where are you? St. Jude Medical Center, outside Birmingham. That name dragged Nia backward in time. Hospital halls, cold lights, a police officer who wouldn't meet her eyes. What did you tell them? Nia asked. I told the truth, Renee said. About that night, about who did it. Nia's grip tightened on the phone. You promised, she said quietly. I promised because I was scared. I'm still scared, but I'm done paying for what he did. A long silence stretched between them. You don't understand what you just did, Nia said. I do, Renee said. They already came by. 2 men. They knew my name, they knew yours. Nia leaned against the counter, heart pounding. Across the street, she saw Malcolm Reed sitting in his car, lights off, watching her building like it mattered. He always said no one would believe us, Renee continued, that we were alone. Nia swallowed. You should have called me first. I tried, Renee said. You never pick up unknown numbers. That was true. What do you want from me? Nia asked. I want you to stop running, Renee said. I want you alive. I want you beside me when this finally comes out. Nia looked at the door, the lock, the years she spent building reasons to stay closed. I said no to every man because I couldn't risk anyone getting close, she said. You knew that. I know, Renee replied, and I hate that you carried this alone. Nia felt something crack. Not loud, just enough to let air in. Malcolm Reed is outside, Nia said. He knows. Renee exhaled. Then he's the one they warned me about. The man who gives you a choice. What choice? Nia asked. To hide again or to stand where everyone can see you? The call ended. Nia walked to the door and rested her hand on the handle. If you've made it this far and still haven't shown support, ask yourself why. Stories like this survive because someone stays watching. Outside, Malcolm looked up as if he felt her decision forming. Nia turned the lock, and for the first time in years, she said yes to the truth. Malcolm Reed stepped out of his car before Nia reached the sidewalk. He didn't rush, he never did. That was his skill. Calm made people doubt their own fear. Miss Harper, he said, hands open, voice smooth. I was hoping we could talk. Nia locked the door behind her. The click sounded louder than it should have.
I don't have anything to say to you, she replied. He smiled like she told a joke he enjoyed too much. That's not true. You've been saying plenty, just not out loud. She walked past him. He followed, keeping pace, leaving space, like a man who wanted credit for restraint. Your sister caused some confusion, Malcolm said. Hospitals, statements, old stories waking up. Nia stopped, turned. Stay away from her. I would love to, he said, but she stepped into a room that never forgets faces. Nia's jaw tightened. Why are you here? To help you, he said, like the word had weight. You've lived a careful life. No mess, no witnesses. You say no, men walk away, and things stay quiet. She laughed once, sharp. You call this quiet? He leaned closer, lowering his voice. I can make this stop. Calls, watching eyes, files that should stay buried. And what do you want? She asked. Nothing new, Malcolm said. Just for you to keep doing what you do best. Decline, disappear, let the past stay tired. Nia felt the urge to scream, but she held it down. You're scared, he added. Not of me, of what happens when people listen. You don't get to offer peace, Nia said. You're the reason there never was any. His smile faded, just a crack. "Think carefully," he said. "Women who change their minds usually regret it." A car pulled up behind them. Darius Monroe stepped out, jacket unbuttoned, phone in hand. "Malcolm Reed," Darius said. "Funny place to hold meetings." Malcolm straightened. "And you are?" "Someone who records conversations, especially the ones people deny later." Malcolm's eyes flicked to the phone, then back to Nia. "This is your last chance," he told her. "Once you choose a side, there's no stepping back." Nia felt her pulse in her ears. Her sister's voice echoed in her head. "Stop running." She met Malcolm's stare. "I already chose." Malcolm nodded slowly, like a man taking notes. Malcolm returned to his car. Darius exhaled. That was a test. Nia didn't ask what kind. She already knew. And somewhere deep inside, fear made room for resolve. Nia sat in her duplex, light dimmed, the hum of the refrigerator louder than usual. Her hands hovered over the notes on her phone. Dates, names, incidents, connections. Every line led back to the same few faces. Faces that smiled in church basements, shook hands at fundraisers, waved at neighbors like saints. Pastor Raymond Holt, that was the name that made her stomach twist. He was untouchable, respected, Ashford's moral compass in public, but behind closed doors, he was the man who had terrorized her mother and haunted her life in silence. The files she had kept for years weren't just about keeping herself safe. They were about documenting patterns, evidence of men who thought power meant silence, who thought fear was their right. Then came Darius, stepping inside without knocking this time. His eyes scanned the room like he already knew the answers. "They are all connected," he said. "The men who pressured you, the ones who hid what they did, Holt's circle. Every donation, every board meeting, every so-called charity event was a layer over what they wanted buried."
Naya's throat tightened. All these years, people whispered about me being picky. They never suspected it was survival. Darius pulled out a folder. It was thick, filled with names, dates, and documents. Federal investigators have been tracing this network for years. Holt isn't just untouchable in Ashford, he has influence statewide. But the threads start here, with your mother and everyone she tried to protect. Naya's hand shook as she flipped through pages. Photos of fundraisers, letters, signed forms, proof that the same men who smiled at her on Sunday mornings were responsible for the fear and silence that shaped her life. "Why are you showing me this?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. "Because you are not just a witness," Darius said. "You're leverage, and Holt knows it. That envelope, those calls, they were a warning. He wants to control the story, but you already control it. You've been saying no for years, Naya. You've been choosing who has power over your life." Her phone buzzed, a YouTube notification. The irony hit her. People posting stories about women who played hard to get, not knowing the real reason. If you've been watching this story unfold, don't scroll past. Leave a comment. Share this video, because silence protects the wrong people. Stories like this only have power if people ignore them. Naya looked up at Darius. "It's all coming out." He nodded. "Yes, but first, we need to make sure you're safe. Holt has eyes everywhere. He will strike if he feels cornered." Her mind raced. For years, she had said no to men who didn't understand her, to men who threatened her without touching her, to people who wanted to bury the truth. Now, she realized the stakes were bigger, not just for her, not just for her sister, for every woman in Ashford who had been silenced. And for the first time in decades, she didn't feel afraid. She felt ready, because the truth, raw, shocking, undeniable, was about to hit Ashford like a storm. The power went out first. Candles flickered in every window, street lights gone, and a low hum of distant generators filled the quiet of Ashford. The perfect stage for a confrontation no one expected. Naya stood at her front door, Malcolm at her side, Darius across the street, watching every corner. The files she had studied for weeks were stacked on the counter behind her. Every name, every date, every hidden connection ready to be revealed. And then the doorbell rang. Slow, measured. 1 tap, 2, 3. Pastor Raymond Holt stood there,
calm in his navy suit, hands folded like he was blessing a congregation. A smile touched his lips that didn't reach his eyes. "I've watched you, Naya," he said softly. "Your mother would have wanted you to trust me." Naya stepped forward, her voice steady. "Your version ends now, Holt. No more whispers, no more threats. The truth comes out tonight." He laughed, low and bitter. "Do you know what people will believe? Who will believe you?" Malcolm stepped closer. "We've prepared. Federal investigators are ready. Every donation, every board meeting, every letter you try to hide, it's all traced. You're done." Holt's eyes flicked to Darius. "And you, the quiet one, following her everywhere. You think you've cornered me?" "I think the people who are silenced have a voice now," Darius said, voice calm but sharp. Naya opened her phone, projecting the documents and photos to the screen Malcolm had brought. Evidence of fraud, abuse, and cover-ups sprawled in black and white. The room was silent except for the hum of the projector. "This is what you hid," Naya said, voice rising. "This is what you threatened us with. This is why I said no. Not because I hated men, not because I was cold, because I survived while you thrived in shadows." Holt's face went pale. No one expected that calm woman in a brick duplex to hold the power to unravel decades of secrecy. Neighbors peeked out windows, phones buzzed. By the time the first news crew arrived, the story had already spread across Ashford like wildfire. Social media lit up. People who whispered, laughed, or turned their backs now had to face the truth. Naya turned to Malcolm and Darius. "We're not done," she said, "but this is where silence ends." Malcolm nodded. "The rest will follow. Holt isn't untouchable anymore." Naya picked up the phone and recorded a short statement, her voice firm, emotional, and raw. "I said no for a reason. Now you all need to hear why. Silence protects the wrong people, and I won't stay silent anymore." She posted it. Within minutes, thousands had watched, hundreds commented, voices rose where there had been whispers. Naya stepped outside. The street was quiet, but the weight of what she had done pressed in. She felt the fear, the relief, the anger, and the freedom all at once. For the first time, she wasn't hiding. She wasn't surviving alone. She was finally free. And Ashford would never look at her or itself the same way again. If Naya's courage moved you, hit like, share this story, and comment. What would you do if you discovered your town was full of secrets like this? Don't let this truth fade. Be part of it.